to open it up a little more to BIM as a whole, as a process, and what the industry is getting involved in, and not just about Revit, right? This used to be a Revit user group, and Revit is kind of just another tool in the toolbox, and there's a lot more things going on. So moving forward, you're probably going to see other folks come in and do presentations around non-Autodesk things, but still very integrated into what we're doing as an industry with BIM. So that's the intent, I think, that Ann and Jerry and some of the other folks want to get out of this group. Again, from a technology standpoint, BIM being a big part of that, we have a lot of resources there. So I've offered, what we do as a customer. A lot of folks in this room are clients of ours, the MA folks and helpers. So we're in this with you guys already. So our goal is to, a rising tide, right? So everybody kind of pulling on the same end of the rope from a technology standpoint makes a lot of these projects go better. So events like this allow everybody to get in the same room, share ideas, best practices, what not to do. That's even more important probably. But what we thought today, maybe a good high-level overview of some of the tools that you guys already have in the software that a lot of folks are familiar with in the AEC collection. Building Design Suite Premium was actually something that most people are familiar with that had Revit as a tool that's now been upgraded to the AEC collection. So you hear that terminology. It's basically just a collection of the software that a lot of you folks had access to now, Revit.
AEC stands for, somebody asked that.
Oh, really? Architecture, engineering, and construction. Yes, okay.
Sure.
Yeah, okay, good. All right. Hey, question.
As opposed to multimedia.
Right. No dumb question.
No avatars here.
So I just wanted to kick things off a little bit and introduce my team. So Jamie Owens is one of our technical resources on our team. Also in the room is Scott Colorasi. He is the implementation specialist on the construction side. So you folks in construction, Ben is right in your kitchen right now too. I mean, can't go anywhere without BIM projects being front and center. So we're seeing a lot of movement and integration of BIM and a lot of the processes and workflows in the construction and subcontractor community. They love the tools because it kind of gives them a little better control over some things. So we're seeing that a lot. Jerry mentioned that he's the guy that's taking everybody's work and trying to put it all together and make it actually come out straight. So there's a lot of moving parts there. So what I thought I would do, we kind of put this together because we weren't sure who would be here. We wanted to keep it broad for the audience. This is really more of a 30 to 40,000 foot overview of what's in the collection. Jamie's going to touch on a lot of the different products that are in there. And this is going to be a presentation style. It's not going to be a little demo or anything. But we can kind of keep it loose. We can kind of have questions and answers if you want. We can save questions till the end too, and we'll be around to answer questions if you have any. But the first several slides of this presentation are a little more industry. And so I thought I might speak to them, and then I'll turn it over to Jamie to kind of really go from there on the actual products.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. In our region, and I don't know, are you guys in Columbus or where? Okay. What is the percentage of firms that you see, construction, architectural, actually using Revit, like actual BIM models, and not just the different levels below, but actually using it for estimating, energy, modeling, stuff like that.
So just to repeat the question real quick, he's asking, what are we seeing as a percentage of people who are actually using Revit to do, or any of the tools to do actual modeling, so estimating and everything, right? Scheduling. All the way through?
Low.
40% maybe? I'd say there's a few firms that are doing a very good job of really incorporating it into all aspects of their business, but by and large, nobody's there completely. There's a few people that are pushing the envelope pretty well and are kind of leading the charge of what's important for them in their business. I see it more in the construction and subcontractor space because they see a lot of those advantages from doing some things that very manual to them in the past, like a lot of tape measures and things, a lot of multiple trips in a truck up to a job site. There's a lot of things that they eliminated and been able to automate. So that answers your question. Yeah. All right.
Helps if I turn it on.
Just kidding. We're not going to do that.
Now it's, there we go. It's there. Oh, that works. Sorry, now it's working.
All right. So from a general perspective, again, everybody's familiar with Autodesk. Most people call it AutoCAD, but Autodesk is the actual manufacturer of AutoCAD. It has been since 1986-ish or something like that. Started with just AutoCAD, and now we've got Revit. We've got all these different tools. But at the end, they're ultimately, they've really got done a decent job of putting together tools that kind of give us a good workflow from start to finish. So when you talk about imagine, design, and create a better world, there's a lot of things going into that. It's not just buildings. And you'll see from some of the other things that we've got here, where we've got manufacturing, we've got a lot of the civil infrastructure that most of us take for granted, whether it's freeways and bridges and canals like that, even to media and entertainment. A lot of people don't know that Autodesk is the engine behind a lot of most of the special effects in Hollywood. That's Autodesk bought some technology in some companies probably 8 to 10 years ago, and just continue to innovate on that because it's the same tool and engines that you guys are using on the back end to create models, to create renderings. So they had a vision even back then, knowing where this was going to go. Gaming engines and AR, VR. So there's a lot of thought that's gone into this. The manufacturing space, I mean, the content that you guys put into your drawings today starts with the manufacturer somewhere who's, manufacturing or building a door, a window, a doorknob, you name it. So a lot of that starts in an Autodesk product on the manufacturing side. So, and that kind of goes all the way through and ends up in your drawing someday where you drag and drop it in. There's a lot of moving parts to what Autodesk is involved in. And it really kind of boils down to a lot of this today. If you think about how complex the projects are today that you guys are working on, the distributed teams. I mean, you got structural firms in Nashville, the MEP guys are in Chicago, and I got a consultant that's out of Vegas. Everybody's working on this project together. So how do you connect all those folks together seamlessly, especially when you're talking about delivering BIM models with a lot of moving parts, like Gary said. He's working with everybody trying to make sense of all of this big ball sometimes. So a lot of distributed teams and a lot of new delivery models, right? So owners are getting a lot more savvy on what BIM means to them. I've spent a lot of time in the last 3 to 5 years personally of sitting down with owners and helping them develop their BIM execution plan and their standards so that they can go to you guys in the design community for their next project and say, hey, I get that you guys are building this for us and it costs X amount of money here, but we're the ones that have to manage this for the next 30 to 40 years. So here's what I want out of the data, because at the end of the day, it's data for them. And so there's a lot of thought being put into that, into the BIM models and process for the owners. So I think in the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to see a tremendous amount of change in the delivery models that are going to allow us to collaborate more. We hear about integrated project delivery, all these different delivery methods. We're seeing it more. We're going to start seeing it even more here in the midsection of the country, not just on the coast in San Francisco, New York, and LA, where they do a lot of quote unquote big projects. 1,000 new buildings a day. I mean, that's worldwide, but how do you deliver 1,000 buildings a day? I mean, I just that number boggles my mind worldwide. $3.3 trillion being spent on, or just the projects that are out there from infrastructure. Our industry does so much stuff. It's amazing. And 1.2 trillion is the number that some folks way smarter than me, sitting in some room crunching numbers, basically came up with in terms of the level of efficiency and gain that we can get as an industry out of a BIM process or technology. So there's a lot of money on the table, and owners, for example, see that number and say, wow, okay, so you're telling me there's some advantages for me mandating BIM on my project. I'm interested in hearing what that conversation is. And we all know what some of those are, but when you add all that up, and there's, again, some numbers that are just staggering. So I'll leave you with this, and then I'll turn it over to Jamie. But this is really kind of I think we all know that BIM stands for Building Information Model. And you can see that there's a lot to where it starts on the design side, into construction on the build side, and then really the crux of it that we're seeing a lot now is the owners and how they are going to take that same data that you're using and operate that facility for the next however many years. And that's not just hey, we're going to take it, we're going to manage it. There's going to be renovations for that company along the way. There's going to be all kinds of changes in how they do maintenance and operations. So there's a lot of things that they plan on doing with that data. And they are willing to spend that additional money up front in terms of cost for their project, knowing that they're going to get a tremendous back-end kick on the life cycle of that. So I think that's one of the things that I'm seeing, at least in the conversations, a lot of folks is, yeah, we get that it's a little more cumbersome up front, might be a little more work on the design side, but owners are seeing the value of that, and they're willing to pay for that, and they know what that value is going to be for the life cycle of the building. So anyway, appreciate everybody coming out. I'm going to turn it over to Jamie. He's going to kind of walk through a lot of the products that are in the tools that a lot of you already have at your fingertips now. So this is nothing. I don't think you'll see anything today that maybe you haven't heard about before. And if you have, great, because a lot of the tools are already at your fingertips. So the more you know, the better.
So how do we use them? How do we become more efficient? These kind of 5 big topics that they're really being discussed and driven towards, higher definition surveying. Anybody use drones, fly through the sites, to do a survey? Sure beats the, back in my civil engineering class of having the dummy end of the pole and the guy looking down the scope, right? A lot easier. Do a survey, machine learning. So we have, these machines right here doing the learning for us. We tell it what we need, it picks up, it's learning, becoming more advanced, all right? Becoming more advanced than us, to some extent. And industrialization of construction. The idea that construction is no longer just taking out a stick of wood or a piece of metal out there, cutting it on the job site, drilling the holes and fabricating. It's all fabricated, becoming a kit of parts, coming out as big blocks, and basically manufacturing buildings in some respects. Okay, so the more we start doing that, the faster our buildings get to go up. Less time on the job site. Okay, digital collaboration. How does all that happen? Well, as Dan mentioned, we get you got contract engineers in Vegas, Orlando, Columbus. Back 30 years ago, most teams were all local. Very seldom did you really have big, broad companies, design firms all across the country, or construction firms coming in and building your buildings. Now you have that the digital collaboration, be able to work in the cloud, work together. The Internet of Things, advanced analytics, just that advanced analysis that we have to get our buildings. We're designing more complex, more advanced buildings, that the analytics or analysis from a performance, an energy, or structural, all those has to grow. Okay, that all leads to, there we go, a connected BIM. All right, so the idea of connecting the design, the build, the operate, connecting all that together using BIM and the software tools that we have to facilitate that process, okay? Designing greater buildings or great buildings, getting all the right tools, connect your workflows, put your project team at the center. So, again, supporting all the phases of the building life cycle. It's no longer just, here's my drawings, you go build it, all right, Mr. Owner, you got it, it's done. It's supporting that full life cycle of that building. As designers, my background's in architecture. I've worked in the industry for 10 years. As many of you have worked in the industry, a lot of your repeat clients, right? They come back. Those are the life cycles of the buildings that hopefully, someday you don't have to redo the building you already worked on, but you're supporting them in that life cycle, helping them make that building efficient. Connecting your workflows. Again, cloud-based tools or cloud-based workflows that are out there, and putting your project at the center here. Using all the tools and the cloud technologies. Who here knows do you have the AEC collection? Okay, maybe. If you look on your desktop, if you see, probably more than 3 or 4 of these softwares, more than likely you're probably running the AEC collection, right? But those 3 or 4 that you see probably are definitely not what's the limitation of what you have. There are over 25 pieces of software in the AEC collection, all right? Anywhere from Revit to Robot, Advanced Steel, Navisworks, Formit, Recap, Dynamo, AutoCAD, all right? There's all kinds of different tools that are available in there for all different aspects of the process, from design through construction. A tool is available, okay? Now, again, this is all Autodesk products. I'm sure many of you are sitting out there like, well, I got this other product and this other product out there. There are many other products out there, but looking at this from on Autodesk perspective, the workflow, the backbone of it is Revit, right? Who here uses Revit? All right. So I don't really need to even talk about it, right? Everybody knows what Revit is, but it's the backbone of the AEC workflow, of the BIM connected workflow. Okay. Dynamo is available. Who knows what Dynamo is? Sort of, a little bit. Programming, visual programming, the ability to automate a task very quickly, very easily, without having to know Java scripting and HTML scripting and C# and all these other computer science lingos. It's connecting some nodes together and boom, okay? It helps automate that task. So a lot of other tools here we have. Raster Design. Raster Design is a great program, and I'll get more into it. I don't want to get too deep into each of these, but for Raster Design, we got Formit, okay? Formit could vary for our conceptual modeling and design, early design. Part of that goes with Insight 360, doing energy analysis, to visualize that, live, max, Autodesk rendering. Recap Pro, part of that beginning process. Then we get into Advanced Steel, Navisworks, Robot, all right? And we got some fabrication tools, point layout, okay? And then at the very bottom, what also connects all this together, we got InfraWorks and Civil. Now, I don't want to leave out our Civil folks here. So InfraWorks is an early on conceptual Civil program, Civil 3D here. But BIM 360, we'll touch on this a little bit at the very end as well. It's that other piece that connects that workflow all the way through. Okay, so it's just not what's in the AEC collection. We also have the BIM 360. Now, BIM 360 is not part of the AEC collection. Let me clarify that. It is a separate piece, but it's part of the AEC workflow. Okay. Raster design. Anybody ever heard of this? Yeah? Anybody use it? Maybe? No? So, anybody have old archive drawings rolled up of the building, or worked on a project where you have to go and dig through the archive and go back and have them scanned in and then bring them in and trace them? All right? Raster design allows you to quickly take that scanned PDF and convert that image, that raster image, into vector line works, AutoCAD line works. Okay? This is it's based on the AutoCAD platform. Okay? So it's just another AutoCAD now. You've evolved. It's one AutoCAD. You have different tool sets, part of it. This is one of the tool sets. So that starts off the process, right? This starts off our workflow. We get that existing building, scan those drawings in, convert it to vectors. Then now we have our CAD drawings, all right? We're take our CAD drawings, and a lot of times we'll start with doing some space planning layouts, get some initial layout concepts done, maybe by upper project managers who don't really know Revit yet. So, AutoCAD is probably the most common CAD software out there. It's versatile. It can do 3D, it can do 2D. It's a common medium ground from Rhino to Revit. It's a portal to go through. So it's, all tools, have the ability to connect with AutoCAD in some way or form. Okay. Once we have this CAD layout, this design, maybe in a conceptual stage, then we can take it into Format. All right. Who here has heard of SketchUp? Who's heard of Format prior to now? Okay. Did you know the developers of Format, or developers of SketchUp, developed Format? They developed SketchUp first. When SketchUp was bought by Trimble, they left, went to Autodesk, built Format. So you get who here uses SketchUp? Okay. If you use SketchUp, you can use Format. It's the same process, same push-pull, same drawing the line work, and it's included with your AEC collection. Okay. So now it does not have all the add-ins that SketchUp has. SketchUp has been around for 15 years, something like that. Right? It's been around for a long time. Format, 5 years. So hasn't been around as long. So it doesn't have all the add-ins yet available to it. But the beauty of Format is that it's connected with Revit. Again, Revit's that backbone. You can use Revit families inside of Format. Okay, so it's connected. When you save a Format file out, you can actually get it to save as an RBT file. A simple save, go from an AXM Format file to an RBT Revit project. Okay, so again, it's easy. Okay, just a little image here of something on a Format, right? Something you probably may have seen in SketchUp as well, but very conceptual. The idea is that Format is our conceptual modeling tool. It's early on, right? It's early in that design process. We're not using it for CDs, we're using it for concept, right? Napkin sketches, bring them into Format, make it 3D, all right? Take it on the, I don't know iPad, but iPad, yeah, you got an iPad app. I could do it in a web-based browser, desktop, okay? So multiple different tools, different areas, ways you can sketch using, okay? InfraWorks, for anybody does civil, anybody civil in here, okay? So InfraWorks is a great tool to do conceptual site analysis, site studies with buildings, all right? We're able to easily take that an InfraWorks model and put our buildings on it and see it in the actual site context. We don't have to go out, take a million different photographs and have our visualization artists put it in there just so we can see it in context. You know, we are able to use a lot of the GIS data, a lot of the existing buildings, be able to pull that up very quickly and see it in context, right? As that InfraWorks model is easy to develop, it integrates with Civil 3D as well. So even though it's very easy, conceptual early, it can integrate to Civil 3D and grow that quickly.
Just a quick little anecdote to InfraWorks 360. So there's a local firm here in town. Some of you guys may know this story already, but the reason Columbus won the smart city competition with the other cities like Pittsburgh and San Francisco was they had a young kid over there that grabbed InfraWorks and started playing with some stuff and really showed some conceptual designs of how Columbus was going to be innovative on our electric vehicle layout and the plan here for Columbus. That was all done in InfraWorks, so a lot of GIS data and basically just playing around with stuff that was already there. So again, it's a great tool. It's got a lot of things that connect to the rest of the workflow. So you don't have to be a civil engineer to get in there. It's almost like SketchUp and Format. There's a lot of tools that I think even architects and a lot of folks should get familiar with because everybody starts with a site plan somewhere.
Yep.
And you don't have to be a civil engineer to start playing around with it. So I recommend if you haven't played with it, get in there and kick the tires. It's really cool stuff that you can do.
As I mentioned, my background being in architecture, literally it took me about a day and a half just to get in and start to use some of the tools. By no means can I do drainage analysis and everything that InfraWorks can do, but I can get that conceptual storyboard presentation look out of it. Okay, so not only do we have, so we had InfraWorks, again, it's part of that early conceptual design. We have recap. Anybody done a point cloud? Few, all right. So recap is just a tool, the ability to take that 3D scan and clean it up and use it as part of that design workflow for the existing buildings. Now, it's used for talking about the existing building aspect. It can also be used later on in the design process, or not really design, but later on in the construction process. I've seen this tool used for steel. When steel gets up, they go through again and rescan the building. You know, make sure there's no big twists or anything like that happened, or especially if there's been a delay. When steel goes up till the rest of the building goes up, they want to make sure things didn't get out of true or out of square or whatever prior to the rest of the building going up. So they've used 3D scanning and recap to continue that process and reanalyze the construction. Okay, so once we get into recap, get cleaned up, we can actually bring this model. I'm going to skip there into Revit. We can actually bring our format model into Revit. We can bring AutoCAD into Revit. We can bring our point clouds into Revit, right? Everything, a lot of that stuff can come right into Revit. Revit's becoming that main tool that connects the process all the way through. Okay. Again, almost everybody raised their hand for Revit, so I'm not going to talk about Revit. Okay. But what about the analysis? Remember, I talked about advanced analytics is one of the key functions with our crazy designs that we like to come up with. All right. Robot is one of the tools and part of the AEC collection that assists structural engineers in getting that analysis. All right. Any structural engineers in here? Got a couple? You guys use RAM? Yeah. So I'm not a structural engineer, so I'm not going to try to tell you what how to do it or anything like that. But Robot is one of those tools that has the ability, but it has the ability to connect with Revit, and it's more integrated with Revit. I know RAM has the functions that kind of go with Revit, but Robot, because it's an Autodesk product, it is actually more integrated with it. Okay, and if we get time, we'll come back. I got a couple of videos here we can show on some of the different tools. We're gonna not show that. Come on. Come on. There we go. Hello? Hello? I think if there's somebody on the other line, I think they unmuted themselves quickly here. Oh, there they go. They're remuted. Advanced steel. So as we move our way through that concept to design, okay, we start looking at, we need to take our design to a higher level, okay? That higher level starts with, for a structural engineer, starts with advanced steel. Now, some structural engineers don't go into this level because this is really getting into fabrication level detailing, okay? So this becomes part of the fabrication detailing aspect from your steel guys. But what little bit I've used of advanced steel, again, I'm not a structural engineer, but a little bit I've used advanced steel, and I've used Revit for 10 plus years. There are many features, many tool modeling that I think would be better in advanced steel than in Revit. Like stairs, right? We all want our stairs to look a lot more true to the design, right? Revit, they're hard to work with, right? Anybody, any architect in here, they're dealing with stairs, railings, right? It's the bane of our existence. Advanced steel, well, it's a very difficult program to learn because there's a lot to it, all right? You can get your stairs to look great. Now, that's assuming you're wanting, you know, steel stairs and metal railings, things like that. You know, if you're wanting glass railings and terrazzo stairs and things like that, then you're not looking at advanced steel. But advanced steel, it gives the ability to have that higher level fabrication detailing and drawing through steel. And it connects with Revit significantly. Revit 2019.1 is even better. It has a higher level of connection, and actually almost everything you could do in advanced steel, you could pretty much do inside of Revit, except for the automated shop drawing functions. All the detailing and everything like that can happen inside of Revit. Okay. Let's skip that video. Again, just, you know, it's advanced steel. It's built on the AutoCAD platform. So we're usually using AutoCAD. So the interface looks very similar. It's just where the tools are. Okay. The next level of analysis is Insight 360. Any MEP engineers? You? Okay. So not only can MEP engineers use this, I as an architect feel like it's an important tool for us as early conceptual designers. Because Insight 360 gives us the ability to take our design and do just a quick analysis of 40% glazing on this wall. What happens if my R value is 20 on my roof or 30 on my roof? What if I do triple pane versus double pane glass? Just those quick sliders, can I see over here? These are just little sliders that you have the ability to just slide and adjust. Say, oh, okay, that's what my performance analysis is going to be, and what my reporting is. This format pushes out, goes into ability to go into Insight 360. So our early concept modeling, be able to push that out, see that early on. Okay, as we get into Revit, we're able to use either our model as generic and say, okay, this is just this north wall, how much glazing still, or we can actually start to use, if we build our Revit models, the level of development that we need, the LOD, that level of development, as far as our walls and materials have the right R values for the thermal properties, the windows, right U values. We can push all of that out, the building components information out, and bring it into Insight and do that analysis as well. Insight 360 also has the ability to do solar analysis, heating, cooling load analysis. You can actually do lighting analysis inside of Revit as part of Insight. Okay, so you have the availability to get your foot candles right inside your Revit model. Okay. Again, designing for performance, that advance, taking our designs and our analysis to the next level, getting us a better building. Okay. So you have Insight 360 as part of your AEC collection. Okay. Everything I've talked about here is in your AEC collection. Okay. Rendering in A360. Okay. While you have the ability to upload to Autodesk's site to actually perform cloud-based renderings. All right. It uses cloud credits for every single collection. I think you get like 100 credits or something like that. It's per seat. So you get like, and that's a user based. So, but you have the ability to take that design and push it up to the cloud and do panoramas. So you can do a full 360 panoramas. Actually, the full 360, not just the panoramas. Okay, I've done that for clients. They loved it. We'll talk about live here in a second as well. But so you have the ability to, again, you set your material, set a Revit, you push up to the cloud. Right? You do a couple of settings over here, what kind of level of rendering you want. Now you don't get the same level of rendering as we'll see here in a moment as you get in Max or Maxwell or Lumion or Inkscape, whatever. But you have the ability to get the same quality. You're just not in control of it as much. You're just in control of your materials. Okay, but it's great because I can set all my materials up, set the quality I want, send it, and I just keep going. My machine doesn't sit there and be bogged down for 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, right? It's all based on the cloud. I get an email when it's ready. I download it, boom, it's ready to go, okay? Revit Live, the next level to rendering. So the ability to take that model, push it up, to Revit Live, take our Revit model, and make those 3D views just not static anymore. So our model is no longer static. Our renderings are no longer static. We're taking that realistic view and pushing it up and becoming interactive. I can walk through it without having to actually do a walkthrough inside of Revit. But I can actually have all my views set up. I can then walk through my model with collision-based detection. Okay, it's also VR ready. So you have the ability, if you have a Oculus Rift, HTC Vive, I've heard the Microsoft or the HP, whatever it is, the HP one works with it as well. There's a couple different headsets that work with the VR, ability to get into it and walk through the model. But it's just not a renderer. It's just not rendering. It's just not showing the image of what we want, but it's pulling that BIM data. So every object inside of our model has the ability to be selected inside of Revit Live and tell us what it is. Tell us the information about that element. Now, I cannot modify it. I'm not going to change my auto like the color material. Let me change it. That's not what it is, all right? It's a viewer, okay? It's just that ability to interact inside that model. Here's just a snapshot of a model inside of Live. So you can see, you can look at a couple of different styles. I can change it from the color rendering to just a black and white or just an all white view. If I put people in, I can make them look realistic or make them look ghosted, a couple of different settings. But I can also look down at the bottom. So I have the ability to just orbit around, tap and go, where it just jumps me through. I can actually fly with the jetpack. But I can also control the sun. So that aspect of, well, what's it looking at this time of day, right? While I'm looking at this in a real life setting, I can actually adjust my time of day. You get my sun and shadows, okay? And again, the VR capabilities over there. Now, if we need to take that rendering to the next level, 3D Studio Max, all right? That is definitely not my handiwork. That is a visualization artist right there. That is definitely not my handiwork. But 3D Studio Max is the premier rendering engine as part of the AEC collection, especially when it comes to buildings. Now, it can do you can model in it, you can do animations in it, right? You can, but it's rendering. Some do, you know, multimedia in it as far as other aspects of it, but that's typically you're looking at Maya or any of those other tools. But for buildings, 3D Studio Max. And there's a ton of different rendering add-ons to Max, V-Ray, Corona, things like that, that enhances it even to the next level. But as part of the baseline for this, the beauty is that it works with Revit. So again, that Revit workflow, I can link in my Revit model into Max and use it straight from there. Now, a visualization artist is going to tell you, no, I'm not linking it. I don't want your construction documents to keep messing up my rendering. All right, they're gonna bring it in. They're gonna break the link. Because they're gonna change every single material you have in there anyways. They're gonna go in. They're gonna, with that low line you have in the floor for the joint pattern for terrazzo, they're gonna go in and actually model that as a reveal or as a regular piece. All right, that's all. It's all that level of development that we don't get to in a construction documents model, but in a rendering model we need to get to, because that's what makes our models look realistic. Okay, so but this gives us the ability to have that connection with Revit and easily bring in that information. But it brings in a lot more than just Revit. AutoCAD, SketchUp, Rhino models, right? All this information can come into Max to build these beautiful art pieces right here. Okay. Just a little blurb about visualization matters. It's, you know, it's not always just about the construction documents, right? We have to sell our designs, and how we do that is through presentation, through that visualization. And actually, it's funny, this is actually live here. It's actually not even Max. So, okay. Now we've did concepts, we've worked it through design, we've got started getting into our detailed design, we've done our visualizations. Now that visualization aspect, well, I've shown it towards the end of, you know, part of the design. It can also be used earlier on. You know, a lot of times that's when we have to sell the building, right? Sell our design earlier on before our Revit model gets there. But after all that's done, we get our design out. We have our 150-page construction document set out. We give our models to our contractors, assuming that's part of our legal requirements. We give our models to them. Then we can start to look at Navisworks, right? Now, that's the typical process, right? Typical process, typical process for this, we would give our model to the contractor, and they would start to build on top of it, develop it to a higher level, or they're building their own stuff, they're building their models using Revit, but then coordinating it through Navisworks. Navisworks has the ability to run clash detection, as well as timeline estimating. So the ability to take your project-wise timeline that the contractor's developed, bring it in, timeline it with the parts and pieces inside of Navisworks, and now you can start to see your building come together on the site. Cranes moving, trucks moving, all depending on what level of development they're going to get that model into. Okay. That being said, I'm a firm believer as a designer, this needs to move back to part of the design process. I'm a firm believer, especially in existing buildings, Navisworks is a powerful tool for architects, structural engineers, and MEP engineers to use to help coordinate the design. To make sure when we do send it out in a design, bid, build process, that we're sending out something that's fairly coordinated and we know it's going to work. Not waiting for those RFIs to come through during bidding or construction. We need to lower your ceiling 8 feet, or hopefully not that much, but a foot. If it's 8 feet, you have some serious problems. But so but this is used primarily. This is typically used by construction managers to help design that process, to help design the construction sequence. That's the word I'm looking for. Design that construction sequence prior to getting to the field. Right? We know we can design it early, work out the kinks early. We have less issues in the field. Right? Less issues in the field typically means less added cost on top of it. Okay. I talked earlier on, Civil 3D, again, is one of those tools that is available as part of the AEC collection. It integrates with InfoWorks 360, but its ability for civil engineers, typically is what you're doing, it's what they're doing, their site design from existing through all the way through design, push out, and correct me if I'm wrong, I've known a couple at least, I don't know how regular it is, that their contractors are using that Civil 3D model out, they're loading it into their big piece of equipment out there, and it's actually helping with the grading the site. I've seen it a couple times. I don't know how normal that is, but we're able to use that model for that. So again, this is one of those tools that can be used early on for that conceptual to get part of InfoWorks, but then it goes all the way through design because it's part of the design process. And when it goes out to the field, the guys in the field are using it. Okay. Autodesk point layout. Who's heard of this? I see like 2 hands. One of them is one of ours. So Autodesk point layout. It's the tool that allows folks to take that BIM model, take it out to the field. Sorry. Take it out to the field and actually start to use the points that are identified to start to spot coordinate those, and specifically put this hanger needs to go here. Let me put a point inside it in my model in it. Now when I go out to the field, I know exactly where that point's going to exist. Okay, so it's no longer it's 15 feet off this wall. It's right here. It's right here. Okay, so you have the ability to do that in a very large scale. There's actually also a BIM 360 one now, correct, Scott?
It ties into
Ties in BIM 360, okay.
which allows you to do place points for anchor bolt locations, or to go back and verify as built versus design, checks and balances, that way.
So, I mean, imagine all these hangars or anchor bolt locations that are, you know, I go back to a project that I had several years ago when our structural engineer designed an 8-foot wide footing, because for a 20-foot tall, 12-foot tall wall for a courtyard, and the footing was 8 feet wide, 3 foot thick. The contractor told me, and I was like, your bars are a little crooked, and after they get the concrete poured, they had to go through, cut off half their bars and re-drill them and drill them back in because they weren't even within the wall. It's like, well, how do you expect me to get these in the right location? Your footing's 8 foot wide. Point layout probably would help with that a little bit, versus the guy just trying to measure. Okay. Now, the rest of these, they are part of the AEC collection, but they're probably less used in the current process. We got AutoCAD architecture. Anyone heard of it? Anybody used it many years ago, right? Yes, it's still around. It still gets a tweak every now and then by Autodesk. It's the predecessor of Revit, for those who don't know. But if you're looking to join, oh, should I do AutoCAD architecture? Should I do Revit? Just do Revit. You save yourself a lot of headaches. But there are some tools, I will say, there are some features inside of AutoCAD architecture that I feel like are better. The way door openings get put in and the way they clean up and control, things like that. There are little tweaks, but it's essentially the same thing as Revit. It's got keynoting tools, preloaded detail components. You're building basically an AutoCAD with 3D, using smart walls, smart doors, roofs, views, the same process, but on an AutoCAD platform versus the Revit platform. Okay. Then we got AutoCAD MEP. Again, it's a BIM-like environment. You can do 3D modeling of your components and your ductwork and your piping. You could do design through, all your construction documents and your analysis, but it's just not. It's I don't know. Is there any MEP engineers in here that actually use it still? Used to? Do you use it? Use it over Revit, or you just use it when it's required?
We use the electrical portion of it.
Okay.
We just use it as our base AutoCAD.
Okay.
We use the electrical portion of the circuiting. We don't do 3D pipe setups anymore. It's too slow.
Gotcha. Okay. So there are. So do you use the electrical in it because you don't like Revit's electrical, or do you use your functions inside of here that you like over Revit's?
We still work with architects who use AutoCAD. So if we are working with an architect that's using AutoCAD, we use AutoCAD MEP.
Okay.
But if we're working with a Revit architect, we use Revit.
Okay. Okay. So again, it's another tool in the toolbox that is available to us. Okay. Then we get into the fabrication side. So we designed it again, just like Advanced Steel, doing the shop drawings. We got CAD MEP. I'll just say estimating MEP, cam duct. The ability to do the estimating for your MEP, be able to push out your ductwork, shop drawings, but a lot of this can be done in Revit at this point. These are just still legacy tools that are still, being part of the AEC collection. AutoCAD electrical. So if you're doing control drawings or anything like that, this is probably what you're using. That's the only purpose I've known for this tool. I don't know if anybody else uses it for anything else, but it's electrical schematics and controls. And then we have the glorious AutoCAD 360, where you can take it on your iPad and use it, cloud access, have the ability to actually save right out of AutoCAD to your to the cloud now and access it on the iPad. I've used it. it's hard to get a very precise measurement on my big finger. All right. So I'm not that, I don't use it. So, and then dynamo. So very few people have heard of dynamo earlier. So anybody use dynamo on a regular basis? Or use it, I should say, from time to time, sort of?
We tried.
Tried? Okay. So the beauty of this is it gives us the ability to, again, automate those processes very quickly. And again, when you're looking at it, you can see here, it's just a little node, here. Think of that just as a command or part of a command that then feeds information to the next command and so on. And that in the end, it gives you a final product. Okay? So its ability to say, instead of me having to do this repetitive task that may take me 3 minutes every time I need to do it, I gotta do it 100 times. I spent time to develop the script, I push play, and it runs. Starting in Revit 2017, then 2017.1.2, they came out with the Dynamo Player. Oh, there we go. Show that a little better. Came out with the Dynamo Player that has the ability to, you don't even have to know the script. Once somebody wrote the script, that Dynamo Player has the ability to have inputs. And you just feed the information you need and push play. That's all the user has to do. They don't need to know what the inputs are. Based upon what they're picking inside their model or defining what it is, they push play. And it just does what it's supposed to do. Okay, it's VCR, as I like to call it. Okay, yep, so you can see, the scripts aren't necessarily always just 1 or 2 lines, 1 or 2 blocks. There's a lot to them, depending on how complex you're going to do it. But automate the repetitive tasks. That's really what this is for. And it doesn't just work in Revit. You can use it in Revit to do data, feed data from Excel into Revit, for example, for information, or get it out, modify it. You could use it to model with, right? I can actually not even look at Revit, work with Dynamo Studio, which is Dynamo outside of Revit, and develop massing design through it, push it into forming. Okay, so it has the ability to do that on a very simplistic form.
So is that similar to Grasshopper?
Exactly, it is Grasshopper for Autodesk. So for those who don't know, Grasshopper is the same thing, but for Rhino. But it's, yeah, so the Dynamo works within Revit, but it also has Dynamo Studio, which you can basically write your script that doesn't require Revit commands, just general commands, and you can do it, work and develop it outside of it. And then, how are we doing on time? I don't have my phone's buried. Make sure we're
6 to 8.
okay. Oh, sorry. So the BIM 360 again. Just want to talk a little bit, just very quickly about this. It's not part of the AEC collection, but it's part of the AEC workflow. Okay, this is what gets us from, you can use it from early concept all the way through out in the field to handover, to owner use it. And BIM 360 is a full building lifecycle tool. Okay, we got document. So BIM 360 is built on a couple different tiers or packages. BIM 360 Docs, BIM 360 Design. So Docs is just our storage system, ability to storage, markup, things like that. Design is ability to work with our Revit models in the cloud. Okay, do cloud-based collaboration. Again, that basic, that connected BIM. Then we have Glue, that gives us our model coordination out in the field. Not in the field, but it's Navisworks in the cloud. Okay, Navisworks management in the cloud-based. Then we have build, which is the guys out in the field. The contractors are using that to help RFIs, change orders. What was that? Submittals, yes. Yep. Yep. So the key to all this is that everything lives in one place. The document management. The BIM 360 document management is the repository for all those files. So we don't have Dropbox, SharePoints, Google Drive, FTPs. Everything lives on document management, and so all these pieces then talk together, work together. And then we have a dashboard, a single dashboard and analytics for that whole project. Be able to see all information in one location. Okay, so that's from concept, before even concept of here's my building and a roll of drawings from 1947 to building handed over to the owner. Okay. Oh, and then we got some administration, IT. All right, I think these are just some quick slides talking about the different tools of BIM 360, docs, design, glue, and build.
So I also wanted to say everybody's going to get a copy of the presentation emailed to you, so yeah, take pictures, whatever, we'll have to write all this down. Get a copy of the presentation. And it's going to handle all that stuff.
Just don't hand deliver them via an email.
Actually, it won't be via email. We're planning to post this on YouTube. We've got a YouTube account for CoBUG, and we will be sending you a link so that you can watch it.
Why not with BIM 360?
That's a future presentation. How about that? We'll get that in line. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, I can say. Any questions?
You didn't mention Autodesk Design Review for redlining. I know it's kind of a forgotten product related that was intended to be replaced with BIM 360 to a certain degree. They released the 2018 version of it.
Yes.
Without really any new features whatsoever.
The only reason why they did that is because AutoCAD 2018 was a new file release. So it's based upon the file releases of AutoCAD. That's the reason why they released the 2018, because AutoCAD 2018 was a new file release. Still .dwg, it's just a 2018 version. But yes, but that Autodesk Design. Again, we looked at a very specific workflow. There are some random tools in here. Like Plant 3D is actually a tool for doing extensive pipe designs, large pipe design, vehicle tracking for civil engineering to do that. There is Map 3D as part of the AEC collection. So there are a couple tools that yes we did not necessarily specifically talk about, but trying to focus the workflow. But again, you'll get access to it, so you'll be able to at least see those tools, read a little bit about them. So.
Any other questions?
Well, we definitely appreciate everybody coming out.
Yes.
And this is a great forum, and again, thanks to Ann and Jerry for really kind of spearheading this, because again, their intent is to get the whole community here locally to just be more involved and interactive, and we just want to support that effort any way we can. So if there's more topics, whether it's Autodesk software or even other things, software development or something else, let us know. Let Ian know, Jerry. Our interest is, again, a rising tide for our whole community. So we want to get topics on the table that everybody's interested in. So,
Those who came in a little late, you can pass the house business cards, so make sure that you've got your email address. If you didn't get a chance to do that, please use it early. And I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
Presentation. And your input. And have a lovely evening, everyone.
eat more food, drink more beer.